Alright, it's 8 a.m. Let's do this. Hello, and welcome to the BFA Baby podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Hartman, and today is kind of going to be a brain dump episode. I had a lot of different ideas of things I wanted to talk about on the podcast, but none of them that were long enough to have like one full dedicated episode to. So let's do that. Drinking a Dr. Pepper. Cheers. Yeah, so kind of a brain dump episode. We're going to cover a couple things. We're going to talk about finals as a dance major. We're going to talk about my recent trip to New York. And then we are going to talk about the YouTube video I posted last week, the week before, about like holiday gift ideas for the dancer in your life. So, yes, this is the first of 3 of the holiday episodes. If you don't follow the podcast Instagram at BFA Baby Podcast, definitely do so. You will be up to date with all of the things. My headphones are kind of bothering me today. Let me what if I just don't have headphones today? They're kind of bothering me. If you don't follow the podcast Instagram at BFA Baby Podcast, definitely do so. But there was a post that I put up about the next couple episodes and how I'm going to have 3 episodes. We're going to have this episode and 2 more, and then we are going on a little holiday break from the podcast, and then the week of January 15th, my 20th birthday, we will be back. We will be back on the podcast. So yeah, first of 3 episodes. You'll have episodes all through December, and then we will take a couple weeks off, coming back in January. So I think that's all. Let's hop right in. Most excitingly, I would like to talk about my New York trip. I went to New York last week with my older sister, and we did so many fun things. And the biggest thing I want to talk about is my experience with Steps on Broadway. So I went to a class at Steps on Broadway, and it's a really funny story because my sister picked me up at the airport. Her plane got in like an hour before mine did. So we eat at the airport, and I literally just dropped my luggage off with her. Like, I'm fully like, bye, I'm gonna go take a dance class. So my poor sister had to like trudge through New York with 2 suitcases, but she made it. She was fine. But yeah. So let me pull up the full name of the teacher that I took class with. I do not want to misrepresent her. So let's talk about it. I took a theatrical jazz class at Steps, and I had done some research about Steps and their sorry, I'm like looking for her. I took class with, was she, sorry, I'm like, I don't want to get her wrong. Where is she? Yeah, so I took a theatrical jazz class, and it was so much fun. There she is. I took class with Christina Rasavi. There she is. Christina Rasavi. Let me pull her up so I can shout her out. Here's Christina. She also has her BFA. Amazing. This is Christina. If you're watching on YouTube, she slayed. Yeah, so this is Christina. I took her theatrical jazz class, and I did some research about like the leveling and the ranking of Steps, and I took advanced. I took an advanced theater jazz class when I was there, and loved it. It was a perfect fit for me. Not too easy, not too challenging. I loved it. And the way that Steps works, if you've never been, because this was literally my first time, if you've never been, the class, I'm only speaking from the class that I took, but we did like a stretch, we did a warm-up, and then we like learned a little combo and danced it and filmed it. And she did mention that the Sunday classes are where they film, so like the content that you see like of them in the big studio It was like a filming day, which is exciting. So yeah, I kind of want to talk about it. My biggest thing, I was really excited to go into steps, and the entrance that we came in on was literally just like a door that had, like, led to a staircase, and it was labeled steps, and we were like, these are steps, and they are on Broadway, so I guess this is it. So we climb all these staircases, we come into a door, and it's locked, and we were like, But I listen in, and I'm like, okay, that sounds like a dance studio, so we're in the right building. You know, there's music going, there's people talking, there's ga 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 ga, you know, you got like some choreographer syllables in there. And so I was like, okay, it sounds like nice here, we're gonna keep going. This girl starts coming down the other flight of stairs, and we were like, hey, how do you go to the studio, like the actual studio? And she's like, oh, it's on the 3rd floor, but it's not like labeled, just go, just trust me. And we were like, okay. So we climb another flight of stairs, and we get there and check in, and everything was great. I made some friends with people that were just waiting between classes. And yeah, it was a really great time. Class was amazing. So yeah, shout out Christina, all you. But yeah, I had a great first steps experience. And my biggest thing I want to say about it is I was waiting, and, you know, we were talking, making friends. But I remember being kind of like nervous, like, do I deserve to be here? Like, this is Steps on Broadway. I'm dancing in New York, you know. And then I remembered, like, Taylor, insert your name here, they're just people. They're just people the same way that you're just people. You know, they're just dancers the same way the dancers that you teach are just dancers. They're just receptionists the same way that you're a receptionist for the studio, you know? And how I was putting so much pressure on what I looked like to them, even though they're just doing their job, they're just taking classes, they're just here to learn like I am. Like, just because you're in a recognizable building, in a recognizable city with people that are talented, does not mean that you do not deserve to be there. Whether you chose that class, you paid for that class, you got invited to that class, however you got into the room, you deserve to be there. And you can be there and, like, do well and be successful. And I think that stems into a greater commentary of, like, when we go into auditions, and, you know, yeah, we might have some famous industry faces at the front of the room, but you're here. You're here and you're performing, whether you're singing, acting, dancing, whatever. You were here and you were performing for them. You deserve to be in that room. And you deserve to be there. And let's talk about this, because this is something else that I've really kind of been having a thought experiment about, but then it really kind of came into fruition for when I was in New York. Someone else, when you're in a class and, you know, and you're dancing in groups and you're like, man, he really slayed, she really slayed, they, like, killed that combo, you know, whatever. Someone else's talent and success does not diminish your own. You know what I mean? And, like, even this expands totally into getting your BFA, because, you know, you'll have classmates. It's really hard, especially as we're approaching audition season. It can be really hard to, like, you know, see your classmates booking summer stock and booking main stages and getting callbacks, and if that's just not happening for you and it's just not your time, that's what's up, you know. And I think it's been a good lesson to learn that your talent does not diminish. Someone else's talent and success does not diminish your own. You know, the right gigs will come to you. We'll get into the finals conversation in a bit, but I just did a final project on Gabby Diaz, famous dancer, famous tapper, and a quote I liked of hers that I put in the presentation was, if you're kind and talented and work hard, the right gigs will come to you. And I fully believe that. And, you know, every gig, every audition that you don't book, you don't land, you don't get called back for, there is something better out there for you that you wouldn't have gotten if you booked that contract. And that's fully the belief that I walk into every audition with, is like, I'm here and I am worthy of being here, and my talent is worthy of being here. And I think just remembering that other people's success doesn't mean that you aren't successful. Other people nailing a combo doesn't mean that you didn't nail the combo, that they're not thinking the same thing about you. You know, and it's just a good thing to remember, especially when you're going into like a classic at steps. If you're, you know, if you're like me and you're not from New York and you've only seen them online and now you've taken class, it's like they are this really big, memorable building with very talented dancers in the room, but you're also in the room. Very talented dancers in the room. You know what I mean? Yeah, so beyond steps, we saw a couple shows. We saw Back to the Future on Broadway, and then we saw the world famous Radio City Music Hall Christmas Spectacular starring the Rockettes. And so Back to the Future was my older sister's very first Broadway show, like in New York on Broadway. She had seen some national tours when they came through, but yeah, so it was her first like on Broadway show, and it was so much fun. She loves Back to the Future, and I actually don't know a lot about that movie trilogy. You know, like I had seen the first one with her when we were kids. When I was a kid, at least. She was probably a little bit older than I was, but you know, I had to like look the synopsis up in the audience like right before it started, because I was like, I need a refresher on what this is. And I think if we're talking about adaptations from movies to musicals, Moulin Rouge is top, obviously, but Back to the Future I think did a great job. You know, like even if you'd never seen the movie, you'd get the story. And I think the biggest thing is it was so fun to watch my sister see a franchise that she loves on stage. And I think it's a great example of things that can do well. Do I think it will run forever? No. But I loved that I got to see it. And I got to see Amber Adelino. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing her last name wrong, but I say Adelino. I got to see her in it, and I love her. I love her content. I got to see her in it, and she was fantastic. She was the sister, and then she was like in the ensemble. And she was just lovely, 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 lovely. And like right after I got home, she announced that she was going into Beautiful, the Carole King musical. So I got to see her. She's got like a month left. It was so fun. Back to the Future Broadway was also my first professional stage door experience. You know, I'd stage doored like locally and stuff, but this was my first professional stage door experience. So I got a little teddy bear dressed up like the main character, Marty McFly, and some of the actors came out. Some of the actors came out. Who am I? Some of the actors came out and, there we go. Some of the actors came out and were giving autographs. I had them sign the jacket on my bear. It's on my Instagram if you want to see it. They're like, he's so cute. And then we got to talk very briefly with Casey Likes, the star of the show. He was fantastic. If you can see Back to the Future Broadway with Casey Likes in it, he is so charismatic, and his stage presence is unmatched. Like, he's so young. He's so young, and he is so talented, and I know, like, he's got a big career ahead of him. But yeah, so he gave us an autograph, took a selfie with him. It was a lot of fun. You know, so shout out Casey Likes. I know you're not watching this, but if for whatever reason you are, this exposure is crazy. I'm looking in my viewfinder right now. This is crazy. Why am I so bright? Hold on, guys. I was like not... Okay, well, we're just gonna be overexposed, I guess. But yeah, so Casey Likes was a star. Back to the Future Broadway was amazing. I cannot think of a song that I was like, this isn't a hit. Like, the music was great. The tech was sick as fuck, dude. The tech was so cool. There was, so obviously, Back to the Future, they make the time machine out of the DeLorean, of course. And there's a part where they drive it, you know, to go back to the future. They drive it out over the audience, and it does like a 360 spin. Low-key tech spoilers, sorry, Back to the Future Broadway. But it like literally does a 360 spin, like upside down over the audience. And me and my sister were just, like, jaw on the floor over that. Like, it was so cool. But, like, there's text, there's jokes in it that are, like, the jokes are really good. Like, there was not anyone who wasn't laughing. There was so many, the audience was really, really kind, and it was so cute because there's so many little kids that, like, were there, and this, more than likely, is probably their first Broadway show. And it was just so cute to see them. Like, it's so magical. And then, like, I remember how I felt my first Broadway show, my first Broadway tour, like in the audience. And it's like that magic is so unmatched, especially for the first time that I'm yawning all over the podcast, as always. Especially as the first time that you see it. It's just so magical and so unmatched, and it was really precious to see these kids experiencing that for the first time. That was, like, super, just so, it was so magical, and I loved it. Yeah, so Back to the Future was great, and then, we also saw the Radio City Christmas Spectacular. Obviously iconic, obviously a classic, we loved it. I was not expecting it to be as high-tech as it was. Also, that show runs. Like, they do, like, 4 shows a day of this. And yeah, it's only 90 minutes, which is, like, half of a Broadway musical. You know, you can't do 4 3-hour shows in a day, you know what I mean? But yeah, so it's a 90-minute show. They do 4 of them a day. Shout out the Radio City Rockettes. And yeah, there was a lot of tech that I wasn't expecting. We watched, like, the very beginning, like, Santa Claus comes out on stage, and Santa Claus is like, we gotta get back to Radio City Music Hall. And then you, like, watch, they give you 3D glasses, and you, like, watch a little 3D movie of, like, Santa and his sleigh. And you're, like, it looks like you're in the sleigh, and you're, like, riding with them. It was really cute. But, like, we watched, like, a movie, there was, like, it snowed in the audience, there was confetti, there was, like, a fairies dance where, like, fairies, like, digital fairies flew over the audience. There was a lot of tech that really impressed me that I just wasn't expecting, and obviously, the Rockettes are just everything. Oh my god, they are so beautiful. My roommate Caroline, who you will hear on the podcast very soon, my roommate Caroline is really big into the Rockettes, and I think we're gonna go audition for them our senior year. But yeah, dude, they are just so fantastic, and they opened with the toy soldiers, and, like, the salute lean and the turn, like, on the heel with the flex. You know what I'm talking about. I just started crying. And it is just such an important, it was just, every little dancer wants to be a Rockette, you know what I mean? Every little girl that's a dancer wants to be a Rockette, and they came out in those iconic pinstriped pants, the straight, like, the pin-legged pants, and it was just, I just started crying, and I was just so happy. I was like, they're real people, this is real life, you know. I was just so blown away by, like, I was here, and it was just so magical. And obviously it's a family show, it's geared towards kids, it's young, but it's just, the talent in that show is crazy good. I loved it. I'm so thankful I got to see both shows while I was there. But some other things we did, obviously I was living my greatest life. I feel my best, my most realized. I'm, like, who I'm supposed to be in New York City. I feel more at home in New York than I do in the town I grew up in. So I was living my best life. We were chilling. We were doing it. Few other things we did. If you notice my necklace, let me not lean out of the mic. If you notice my necklace, this is from a place called Brooklyn Charm. It's in Brooklyn, but I think there's one in Manhattan. But we went to Brooklyn. This is from Brooklyn Charm. I think I'm gonna make a TikTok about it, so, like, follow the TikTok, I guess. This is from Brooklyn Charm. It's on Manhattan Avenue in Brooklyn, and basically it's this cute little store that you can go into, and you pick out your chain, you pick out your charms, they weld it together for you, and it's so sweet. So I'm gonna make a little TikTok about, like, each individual charm and why I picked them. But I did want to shout out Brooklyn Charm because it was such a fun little thing to do in the morning with my sister. We went, we made our jewelry, she made a bracelet. You know, and it takes a while for them to weld it together, and, you know, it was very busy, so, you know, it took a while, but, you know, we were in Brooklyn, we explored Brooklyn, we went vintage shopping, and then we got a fun little piece of jewelry out of it. I loved Brooklyn Charm. That was a highlight of my trip. It was so much fun. And then another thing that we did that, like, we didn't go in expecting to do, but it just kind of happened. We saw Maestro, it's out in select theaters, and it's coming to Netflix, I think, December 20th. Maestro, the film, is not a sponsor, but maybe they should be, because I'm about to gas them up on the podcast. So, Maestro is a film about Leonard Bernstein, a famous composer, lyricist. You might know him as the lyricist and composer for West Side Story. Let's talk about that. He's a star. So yeah, Leonard Bernstein. So the way we found Maestro was the Subway ads, and we just kept seeing all these Subway ad posters for this movie. Like different pictures, different quotes on them, and we were like, we have to go see this movie. And like, I am such a sucker for good advertising, and these photos were beautiful, and it was just everything, and I was like, we have to go well, what are we doing not seeing this movie? We have to go see this movie. So Friday morning at like 10 a.m., we go to this art house theater that is get this, it's a cafe on the top and a movie theater on the bottom. So we like got a little sweet treat and then like went and watched a movie, and it was like so cute. And Saltburn, which I haven't seen yet, but there was a photo of me by a dress that's in Saltburn that I was just enamored by. So I might have to watch Saltburn just to see the dress that I took a picture by in action, because that dress is so everything. I love that dress. But yeah, they had this like display of the dress like just out in the world, out in the cafe part of the theater. So yeah, it was like super cute. It was like a cafe on the top, theater on the bottom, very precious. And it had that like 50s kind of movie theater, 60s, 70s vibe, like that vintage theater vibe. And there's all these old movie posters, and it was just so adorable. But Maestro, oh my god, Maestro. It is such a good movie. And it's done in like that 4:3, that really pretty 4:3 ratio. I love a 4:3. Which there's a special episode regarding a movie in the works, but I gotta get some special guests to talk about this other movie. But yeah, so it was shot in a beautiful 4:3, and not to spoil anything, but half of it is completely black and white. You know, half of it, the top half is completely black and white, and it's just basically like not quite a bit of a stylized biopic, I would go as far as to say. Not sort of in the realm of like a Bohemian Rhapsody, where it's like real people and a real story and real things that happened, but it's dramatized. It's played by actors, you know. It's kind of like that. It's just so beautiful, and the acting is great. It's Bradley Cooper, and I think Scorsese produced it, which, like, low-key, the producers aren't doing shit. The producers are just putting up the money. Like, we all know this. But anyways, it was I think this is also Bradley Cooper. Is this Bradley Cooper's first directing credit? I don't know a lot about him, but he was Leonard Bernstein in this movie. And it was just so good. It was such a good movie. Watch it if it's at a theater near you, but it's coming out, I think, next week. I think it's coming out on the 20th, if I remember what the posters were saying, on Netflix. Please watch it. It was beautiful and moving, and even without the really cool theater atmosphere, it's still a standalone great film, and I plan on watching it again when it comes out on Netflix. I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, we did a bunch of fun stuff. You know, I felt my best, felt at home. I love New York, love New York. Yeah, so let's jump over to a new topic. I don't want to spend the whole time talking about my New York trip, even though I definitely could. Let's jump into finals as a dance major. So, obviously, this is finals week, as our last week of school. And obviously finals are going to work. Finals are going to differ based on, obviously, your school, your major, your department requirements, whatever. But I'm going to talk from my experience, and maybe it can kind of help you see what to expect in a dance program, but know that it might change. So finals as a dance major obviously differ. So I took 18 or 19 credit hours this semester. We took dance classes and general education classes. So I want to start with my general education classes, because those are something that you probably understand. Like, it's literally just your general, like, it's just education. You know, like, my English final, I wrote a paper, and then I'm taking a class called Relationships in Today's Families, and we have a test. Like, a cumulative final over everything we've learned. Simple and standard, easy peasy. This week that I'm filming this and filming our next 3 episodes is the university's finals week. This is like when all the students are cramming and getting ready to go. But if you notice, I'm very calm. And that is because the theater and dance department finals are always the week before the university finals, technical finals week. So it's just been that way my whole time here, and I assume it's going to stay that way. And I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but I think that it helps out, because a lot of the dance majors here are also double majors in another major that is not in the realm of theater and dance. For example, my roommate is also an applied mathematics major, so she has all those really hard math finals this week. You know what I mean? And I think that they honestly, I think they do it to benefit that we are in, you know, the dancers that are in other majors. Like, I just have 2 minors. I don't have another major. You know, I think it helps them out. But there could be other reasons to it, but I've always figured that it's just to balance out their proper dance finals and then academic finals, and also, like, that switch from, like, an academic test to a dance major final, like, that's a big jump. So let's talk about it. So I'm just gonna kind of think of my schedule week by week, and we'll just kind of go. So Monday mornings I take a jazz dance class, and our jazz dance final was to learn a piece of iconic choreography and make a music video. So this worked on, you know, we obviously picked up choreography from a video, which is something you do a shit ton for auditions. You know, they'll send you a dance call, here you go, learn this, submit it. So yeah, you know, we learned some choreography off of video. We had some filming skills, creativity, collaboration. It was really fun. So we did Single Ladies by Beyonce. It was me and my friends Emma and Tananika, and we are just such, like, a girl power group. Like, it was so fun. But it's kind of a crazy story. So we were learning this final, the choreography, and it was, like, right before I left for New York. I was like, we have to get this done, because I leave for New York, and I come back and it's finals, you know? This has to be done. So we literally got up at, like, 5 in the morning, 5:30, and we were full face of makeup, full outfits, like, all black with the heels if you watch the Single Ladies music video. Full face of makeup, ponytails swinging at, like, 6 in the morning. And it was rough, because that night I went home. I drove home to catch a plane to New York. And it was a long day, but it's totally one of those things that, like, in the future, like, when I'm out of school, it's gonna be like, do you remember that time we filmed our jazz final at 5, 6 in the morning? Like, that was crazy. It was, like, so much fun, though. But yeah, so we made a little music video for our jazz final. And I actually edited it on the plane. So everyone was just, like, watching me dance the whole time, if you were looking over my shoulder on the airplane. And so we filmed a music video at 6 in the morning. It was very fun. So the next I have my composition class. So composition 1 is improvisation in solo forms. It is a class about strengthening your improv dance skills, strengthening your choreography skills, you know, finding your voice as a choreographer. And our big final was that we had to choreograph ourselves a solo with a set improv section inside of it. So a score in improv is like an overarching rule, guideline, theme, whatever. So for example, scores can be like, my score was, once my prop was downstage right, and I'll tell you more about my solo in a second, but once my prop was downstage right, everything I did on the diagonal had to be done forwards and in reverse. You know, for example, our friend Sydney, shout out Sid's score, you know, there was a point where after she put her hands, like, over her mouth, everything was improv until this, like, big drop in the music. So there were parts of our solos that changed every single day, which was really exciting to see. So yeah, I kind of want to talk about my solo in that process, because I think it'll give you a bit of an insight into dance finals. So we started work on our solos probably 5 weeks before we performed them, about a little over a month before we performed them. And I initially was going to do a solo to some music from Mad Men. I love Mad Men. I'm going to do a solo to some music from Mad Men. And I was working on work, and just nothing was working. It was just, I was not feeling inspired. It wasn't working. So I was like, done. I'm changing my idea. And that's something I want to shout out to the choreographers that are listening. It is okay to change your idea. Do not waste your time doing something that you are not inspired to do. Just do it. You know what I mean? It is not worth your time to push through not being inspired, not feeling connected to your work, because the outcome will not be something that you're fully happy with, will not be something that, you know, is worthwhile for you. And obviously, if you're working and you're like, oh, I don't really know how I feel about this, but then it works out, obviously stick with it. But if you've been working and you've been trying all these different angles and it is just not working out, you've got to just be like, okay, let's try something else, and maybe it'll be something you're really proud of. And I'm very proud of the solo I came up with. So the solo that I came up with was called In Advance of the Florist Payments, and it was using a bouquet of flowers. Shout out Jaden, if you're listening to the podcast, for letting me borrow your plastic bouquet of flowers for this. I literally had one, and then I brought it to a rehearsal, and I brought it home, like back to my apartment, and now I have no idea where it is. So shout out Jaden for letting me borrow her plastic fake flower bouquet. Yeah, so we so In Advance of the Florist Payments, it was set to Married Life by Michael Giacchino, which you might know as the theme song from Up, which is like the music that plays in that really, like, like the saddest opening 10 minutes of your life, the sad opening of Up, that's the music that plays. So that's what I chose. And it was about flowers in different stages of a girl's life. So in the beginning, there's like a little skip on, and we're playing, he loves me not, he loves me not. And it ends on he loves me. We have like a little wedding bouquet moment with like a flower toss. We have the flowers are like a little baby for a little bit. But then, there's like, if you listen to the music, there's that dip about halfway through that, like, bah. And it's like all the air got let out of the balloon, and there's a complete tonal shift, and that becomes flowers as something we grieve with, as something we send in hospitals, as something they aren't as happy anymore. It's a sign of sadness. It's there's a scene. Who am I? I'm not making a movie here. There's a part in the dance where I set flowers down at top stage right, which is what, like, everything happens kind of downstage right. And when the tonal shift kind of changes, and it's right in your face, the inevitability of, at one point in your life, you will be buried with flowers, and people will come and bring flowers, and that was kind of the energy. So we see, like, gravesite flowers, we see, like, hospital bedside, get ready soon. Jesus, get better soon. And this shift that, like, something that is really happy and really loved and appreciated also has an opposite side that is everything but happy and appreciated. Yes, flowers at bad times are appreciated, but not, like, loved by the person who's getting them, So yeah, it was kind of like an overarching story, and then at the end of the solo, we've done our grieving, and she comes back up and doesn't move on with her life, but continues life, and we're trying to rebuild the happiness. We come back to this little moment, the little flower petals, he loves me not moment. We come back to that, and it's just kind of like a life after grief, a life after loss, and how flowers play into that and can now become a happier thing again. And also the idea of regrowth. Flowers die in the winter, but they come back every spring. Without fail, they come back, and without fail, we come back. Yeah, so that was my comp solo. It was very, very precious to me. I felt very strong choreographing it. I felt very strong performing it. I had a cute little black dress on and my flowers. And yeah, I felt very, very strong, and I like the narrative. I like a good narrative in a dance. I'm a big storyteller that way. So it was really fun to be able to kind of do that. And also, dude, seeing my classmates' solos was probably the best part of this final. Seeing my classmates' solos were crazy good. Our friend Bruce did 1-2 Caravan by Duke Ellington, which you might know from Whiplash. God, that solo was so fucking good. And then, like, our friend Maddie did one about fairies, and she was, like, spinny and had a big dress on. Our friend Chloe did one that was really, like, happy and joyful and bouncy. And our friend Caroline, roommate, friend of the podcast, she did one about numbers. She's a math major, like I mentioned, like triangular numbers, which is this numerical theory. I don't know a lot about it, but she tells me about it. And the solo was really cool, and it like made sense, even though I didn't understand the concept fully. And it was just seeing our friends dance was so amazing. And I just loved it. I love getting to see my friends perform. They're just so, so, so good. But yeah, so that was my Monday, Wednesday finals. Tuesday, I have my lighting class. So for our lighting class, our finals kind of twofold. We had a final project in which we had to go into the lighting software that we'd been working in all semester. So there's a thing called EOS, and it's what a lot of lighting boards use. So we went to EOS, and there's this thing called Augmented, and it's basically like a 3D rendering of your theater, and then you can program the lights in, tell them what color to be, when to go up, when to go down. And there's a steep learning curve with that one, but once you get the hang of it, it's honestly kind of fun. Yeah, so we go into Augmented, and our final project, we have a final project and a final test. Our final project was we had to pick a piece of music and light the stage as if we were lighting a number, musical dance, whatever, a number that involved that piece of music as the backdrop. So I chose the Some Nights intro by Fun. This is like the intro to the album. It's very like magical and theatrical. Thought it'd be a great piece. And it was a lot of fun to be able to see the stage from a different angle. But also I think it was helpful to do this project as a choreographer, because it's like I could imagine what I wanted the dancers to be doing and how I would light that, rather than just like, light go up, light go down, light be blue, light be red. You know, like I was kind of looking at it creatively, and it was a new way to see the stage, new way to see the dancers. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was tedious. It was tedious. Tedious. I literally sat in the classroom for like 2.5 hours and just did the whole thing. But I didn't talk to anyone. It was like headphones in, head down, you know, like just the whole thing. So yeah, the final project, we got to create a little lighting set and then like set it to the music. And then we have a final test, which we take tomorrow, and that's about like lecture material. So that's a little more traditional, but that lighting final was crazy. I am sad we don't get to see our friends though. Like we're not going to show them in class, but I've seen some of my peers' work, and theirs are a lot of fun to watch. So I hope that my professor likes my lighting project. But yeah, so we have a written test tomorrow, about the lecture material. So those are that's a little more. The tech classes get a little more traditional in their finals. And then after tech, I take a voice class here on campus. And our voice final was also half performance, half written. So we had our final song. I sang Sleep on the Floor by the Lumineers. And Sleep on the Floor is such an important song to me. And I've been working on it all semester with my vocal teacher, Gabrielle Thomas, of Minnesota. Shout out Gabrielle. She's amazing. We've been working on the song all semester, and I was like, so we got to pick our last song. It could be any genre, anything. We could pick our final song, which was a lot of fun. And I was like, I've been working on this all semester. I love this song. It's important to me. I feel strong performing it. I'm gonna sing Sleep on the Floor. And I did. And it went really well. I'm very proud of my performance. And the performance that I did on the last day, was it my best? No. But I'm still very proud of it. And I think a little bit more down the line, I'd like to do an entire episode about my vocal journey. But I think I got a few more steps on the journey before I can talk about it in retrospect like that. But yeah, so my voice final we sang, and then we took a written final, which was over the lecture material, because then we also learned in that class, beyond just proper singing techniques, we learned music theory, solfege, we learned things about vocal health, about ways to find songs that fit you, songs for your book. You know, there was kind of both sides of the coin, that how to perform with your voice and how to use your voice and save your voice and healthily perform so we can all do this as a career. So half performance, half written for voice as well. And then our tap final was also, once again, half performance, half written. Our tap final was about, you know, we had to know tap components, steps, combos, tricks, variations, like all anything that you can think about tap, we did. If you can, anything you can think about what you would have to know about tap, we know it, and we were tested on it. We also, well, I guess tap was kind of threefold, because we had our written test, our performance, and our project. So then we had a project about a famous tapper. I, like I said, chose Gabby Diaz, and we had to write a paper and give a presentation. And, you know, their contributions to the tap world and how we see their tapping in today's industry, today's world. And we got to pick who we wanted, so that was fun. And, you know, we learned a lot on those presentations. So, and then our performance was, we learned a combination, and then we had to perform it individually, one at a time. We walked up, we slated, "Hi, my name is Taylor Hartman, and today I will be performing the final tap combination for dance." I think it's like through 245 was the class number I took, 260 maybe. But, you know, you walk up, you slate as if you're in an audition, you do your dance by yourself. That was your final performance. And I think the biggest misconception is that dance majors don't have finals, or that their finals are like so easy. But like, our finals are so emotionally taxing, and they take a lot of work. You know, we were choreographing our finals 5-6 weeks before, you know, we performed them, you know. you can't cram for a dance final, you know what I mean? So I think that's kind of a misconception that it's like it's so easy, but it's not. There's nuance to it, and there's talent involved, and you know, you have to have really great planning skills for all this. And yeah, I mean, you guys are here, you guys are probably fans of the arts, you know that it's more nuanced than the public gives it credit for, but just thought I'd shout that out. You know, our finals do look different, but that doesn't make them any less taxing, any less demanding, any less worthy of the respect and praise when we do well on, as like when our friends that are in like traditional majors do well on their finals, and we're like, oh my god, good job, you know, like, you know, whatever. Yeah, and then lastly, to close out the podcast, I recently made a YouTube video about gift ideas for dancers, and I shouted out like an idea about like a self-care box, ideas about like things to help them keep memories, you know, I shouted out my mini Instax. It's a bit of a pricey gift, but I do love it. I use it all the time. I scrapbook all kinds of stuff, take pictures backstage all the time. I love my Instax. Yeah, but I wanted to shout out that YouTube video. I mean, I could rehash it on the podcast, but like I'm just gonna shout out the YouTube video. As I'm filming this, it is December 11th, 2023. Oh my god, what? I was like, it's almost almost 2024, guys, yay! The audio of this episode is literally going up tomorrow on the 12th, which means if you are listening to this the day it comes out, you have 12 days, a little over a week, to do your Christmas shopping for the dancer in your life if you haven't already. So I just wanted to shout out that YouTube video and my YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel, you can find that gift ideas video, and you can find the video versions of these podcasts, and you can also find some fun little things. I have another video that I need to record the voiceover for, and I'm going to post that. But yeah, shout out that gift ideas video. There's some great things, not even just for the winter holidays, but for birthdays, for anniversaries. If you're, you know, have an anniversary coming up with a dancer, some good little gift ideas for the dancer in your life. So yeah, thank you for listening along to this kind of brain dumpy episode. I know it's kind of all over the place, but I hope you got some good things out of it. And if not, if you didn't learn anything, maybe you just had someone talking to you while you were driving. I love podcasts that let me do that. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for coming along on this journey with me. Remember, we have episodes all throughout December before we take our winter break for a bit in January. And I'm so thankful you're on this journey with me, and have a great rest of your week. Mwah.